The second episode of Loki dropped today, and I watched it a few hours ago, and already I am loving this show so much. This episode was amazing, and of course, spoilers as always. I'm going to talk about basically everything that happened in this episode, but my God, is this show great. So I reviewed the first episode and it's linked up here, and I absolutely loved it. I think it was a great pilot, great start to the show, and this episode actually I found to be even better. Like, that's how good this episode was, and I have high expectations for the rest of the show now. Going into it, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like this show. I may not love it, but I am absolutely loving it so far. This episode really deals with like Loki in particular. Like, he's probably like the main part for about 80% of this episode at least. Like, that sounds obvious because the show is called Loki, but the first episode had Loki and Mobius, and it's kind of like both of them at once, setting up both their characters. But in this episode, it was mainly just Loki, and he's trying to figure stuff out, and he's just so smart. It shows how smart he is. You know, he is the god of mischief, but he is so smart, and when he's in the library, he's reading through all these files, and they're like, classified. There was some good comedic bits in there too, but then he finally reads one, and he starts figuring out how the TVA works, and how you can go to certain places that have like disasters that happen, I think natural disasters, and then you can't be seen on like the timeline. And that's what this cloaked figure could do, and I'll talk about the cloaked figure towards the end of this video. They're trying to catch this person because obviously that's how the first episode ended, or at least it was one of the last scenes in there. I can't remember exactly. And he's just looking through everything. He's figuring out also, as I said, how the TVA works. In the first one, he was just trying to see, like, you know, if you go off the whole, let's just say like there's a line. I'm pretty sure that's how they basically showed it in the show. It's a terrible way to describe it, but you just go off and it said something weird, and they're going back in time. Loki and Mobius are like going back to different places, and they're worried, you know, if they do one wrong thing, it could change history forever. Obviously, that's how time travel works. That's what movies like Back to the Future deal with. But they go back to the first time showing an example is when Loki goes back with Mobius to like this volcano is about to explode, and he goes, and Loki starts talking, I'm not sure what the language was, to all these people. He's like, you're all gonna die, the volcano is going to explode, all this, and then the volcano erupts and they all start freaking out, and then they check back at the timeline and everything's normal because obviously nothing really changed for them. They didn't really affect it. So that's what they suspect this cloaked figure is going. They're going to different places just so they can't be found by the TVA, and that's exactly what they were doing. After Loki finally convinces Mobius, and Mobius kind of like convinces the rest of the people, they go back, and it was like toward the end of the episode, like the big climax here, and it was so great. Like, there are little moments here that are really great because there's a few scenes where Loki and Mobius will just be talking and it'll go on. Like, there's one in particular that went on for I think like 5+ minutes, and it was still great. It's still so engaging. That's what I love about the show. But when we talk about, you know, the big action here, when they go back to that final place, like it was in this kind of shopping center type thing, and they're trying to figure out who this cloaked figure is, and they're trying to find them. They've all split up, and Loki is walking around with one person, and then this one guy kind of asks them a question, and then Loki's like, yeah, do you think it's him? And then the woman, like the one who was played like a bigger part in the first episode, she walks up, and then this cloaked figure, basically the one who, I'll say the name in a minute, takes over this other agent, not agent, like soldier, you know what I mean? Like the woman who was in the first episode too. And this cloaked figure is smart because it keeps like switching bodies, and obviously Loki knows, and Loki's like, okay, you're gonna fight, you know, all this. And then it goes into like this bigger guy, and the bigger guy starts beating up Loki, and it was quite interesting to see. And there was a parallel to Infinity War, which I loved. I have been falling for 30 minutes.
I have been falling for 30 minutes.
But then the cloaked figure walks up in its true form, puts its hood down, and we find out that it's Lady Loki, or at least we think it is. That's who I thought it was going to be. That was pretty obvious, at least for me. I was like, I think it's going to be her or whoever. I know there's like a bunch of different versions of Loki in the comics and stuff, and I know that the Loki show isn't like based off any comics in particular. That's what I think Kevin Feige said, or somebody said, so that kind of adds some mystery to it. But the character had like the Loki kind of horns. It was like a little smaller kind of headpiece in a way, and then they open, you know, like the not portals, but the things that the TVA agents go through. This Lady Loki character, at least who I'm gonna call Lady Loki, that's what I think it is, opens one, goes through one, and then Mobius and like a few of the other soldiers or agents, whatever you want to call them, TVA agents, they're like running up there like, Loki, no, and then Loki jumps through the portal, end of the episode, it's just like, wow. They're setting up so much here. I'm really excited to see where this goes. I absolutely love this episode. I think it was fantastic. If they manage to get better and better and better every week, this will be the best Marvel show. So far, I would say I like Falcon and Winter Soldier more, but that's because I have 6 episodes of that and 2 of this. I can honestly see this one topping it because so far, the episodes have been so consistent. Obviously, there's only 2, but they've been so consistent, and I'm going to give episode 2 of Loki a 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, I really love this. I'm so excited for the rest of the show now. They've set up so much. They did it all in a really smart way. And what did you think of this episode? Please tell me in the comments down below. Did you prefer episode 1 or 2? And thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.